According to La Gazzetta dello Sport, Juventus has three main objectives for this summer. These names were discussed about in the meeting held 2 days ago in La Continassa. We are speaking about Pietro Comuzzo, Sandro Tonali, Viktor Osimhen. Three huge big names. And on top of that, Juventus would love to go back towards a slightly more ItalJuve. We'll discuss about it. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well, ragazzi e ragazze. If you didn't yet, please put a maximum of likes, support the channel. We know it, we are playing only once a week, but it's important to support me to continue to create content. You know it, I try to increase the news, the videos here with 2 videos a day. On top of that, I try to find some guests so that we are here not only listening to Beppe, but also having some inside news. I already started, and it's not a coincidence, in the month of April with videos together with Luca Monblano. Why the month of April? Because I told you, the month of April will be the kickoff of the summer mercato. Because we are obliged, even if we don't know yet if we will qualify to Champions League or not, we are obliged to anticipate. So the rumors are true. Then certainties, no. So let's speak about an ItalJuve and let's speak about the 3 targets yesterday asked or told or reported by Gazzetta dello Sport. Comuzzo, Tonali, Viktor Osimhen. The bad news is, forget about having these 3 players simultaneously at Juve. Forget about it. It's impossible. If you're looking at the cost of Osimhen, the cost of Tonali, forget about it. On top of that, it's not only with 3 players that Juventus will have enough. There are other players that Juventus needs to sign to be again competitive. Not for the 4th spot anymore, but to target being competitive until the last day to compete for Serie A, because it's already the 5th year that we are not winning it, and it's time that Juventus is winning it. So in order to do so, to be able to go with a beautiful mercato, a few things needs to happen. Osimhen, Tonali, Comuzzo, Lookman, etc., etc. What needs to happen? First of all, we need that Thiago Motta is finding a team as soon as possible. You will tell me, Beppe, we are speaking about players. Why are you speaking about a coach? Why are you speaking about Thiago Motta? He's already been sacked. It's important because Thiago Motta finding a team as soon as possible will free up the 15 million euro that have been allocated, because that's the rule in Italy, or it's the rule, it's a common rule, that when you're sacking a coach, as long as he's under contract with you, well, you need to continue to pay him month by month by month by month until the end of the contract, unless he finds another team. And the ideas, the plans of Thiago Motta, what he already has in mind is to find a team as soon as possible. There are already names of teams that are really interesting in the Italo-Brazilian coach. Atalanta for the post-Gasperini in Italy, but also Tottenham in England. Ragazzi, the good news is that Thiago Motta is with his family enjoying in Portugal, digesting the stop with Juve, but he's already thinking for another club as soon as possible, and that's really a good news. Of course, with the 15 millions only, it's not that you go to Napoli, it's not that you go to Newcastle and say, okay, now we are rich. We are not rich with 15 million euro, but that's the first step. The second step, and we said it already, is to qualify to Champions League. Top 4 is crucial. Top 4 is crucial, and I tell you more. I told you, I believe yesterday or 2 days ago, I don't know anymore, because with 2 videos a day, I'm a bit confused in my head, but I told you that Juventus, according to me, with my predictions, with the calendar, with on paper what we can do, especially decisive will be Lecce, Parma and Monza, well, Juventus could finish 3rd. And today it was really funny because reading La Gazzetta dello Sport, they were telling me Tudor ci crede. Tudor is believing in it, and they are targeting as an objective not the 4th but the 3rd spot. Ragazzi, pay attention, and will it happen or not? It depends. I told you a lot about the 3 upcoming games. Tudor, important that he stays at Juve. You'll tell me why, Beppe. They are bigger coaches, they are top coaches, yeah, but the top coaches, they cost a lot. They cost really a lot. So Thiago Motta finding a team, qualifying to Champions League, 4th or 3rd doesn't change a lot. It's just in terms of prestige, 3rd is better than 4th. But Tudor's thing with his really cheap salary, well, we'll make sure that Juventus is saving money. Because if you stop with Tudor and you go with a big one, it's a lot of money that you need to spend. Look at the cost of Antonio Conte. Look at the cost of a lot of other coaches. So if Tudor is doing well, and that's what he's trying to do, not only with results, but also convincing, and it's beautiful because inside news, Giuntoli, as I asked for, is every single day in La Continassa, is every single day in contact with Tudor. So he's the first person he's able to watch and see and follow the progress, the improvements of Juventus through the management of Igor Tudor that is impressing a lot a La Continassa. So third rule. The fourth one, of course, is Club World Cup. Do well in the Club World Cup. Okay, my dream is to win it. You know it. I've always said it since the first time that I heard that a possible trophy like that or competition could possibly exist. I said that's the trophy that I want to go for because I want to be the first club ever in the world to have won all the different competitions. So that would be extremely beautiful that Juventus is doing well in winning it. Winning will be extremely difficult. Yesterday I watched Barcelona. Yamal, guys. Bold prediction. I tell you a broad prediction, he will be the best player of all time if he has no injury, because we saw it with Alessandro Del Piero, for example. But if he has no injury, if the physique is able to resist, what a player. Paris Saint-Germain, Doué, what a player. Another player, what a young team, what a beautiful team. So competing there will be extremely difficult, but doing well, going over the group stage, maybe winning another game. You know, you never know in life. You know, that brings you money. And that's the fourth one. And then, of course, we are speaking about the fifth one, selling Dusan Vlahovic. Selling Dusan Vlahovic is a priority if you want to speak about Tonali, Comuzzo, Osimhen, Lookman, and all the names that we were speaking about in the last 2 days. For what reason? Because Dusan Vlahovic is out of proportion in terms of salary. He has absolutely no intention to renew the contract in lowering the salary. 40-50% is absolutely not his intention. Am I pissed off with him about that? No, because if you agreed on a contract that was increasing every year to reach 12 million euros, so nobody obliged you to sign, and you didn't oblige anybody to offer you that. So it's Juve that offered that contract. He accepted, so it's a contract. On the other side, with the changes of Juve, with Juve not winning, etc., he's totally out of proportion. It's not sustainable anymore. He has no intention to renew, so it's really obliged. Because if you're able to free up Dusan Vlahovic, selling him and not doing a minus valenza, so not losing on what you sell him. So we are speaking about 25 million euro to not lose. So if you are able to sell him for a bit more, it's always welcome. But on top of that, you are saving 24 million euro gross. 12 million euro net. 24 million euro gross is a lot if you want to do mercato, super mercato. Super, super, super important. And then I tell you, one of the possibilities is not going for Viktor Osimhen. Viktor Osimhen, I already said it yesterday. Even Luca Monblano in the video said 25% of chances of Juve. For what reason? Because Giuntoli is really obsessed by the player. He knows that he's a really top name for Juve. He knows what he can bring. He already worked with the Nigerian player, super player. But on the other side, he's also there at 10 million euro net, which will cost you again 20 million euro, plus a big money that you need to go with to Napoli, convincing De Laurentiis. If you go with him, forget about Tonali. It's impossible, guys. You could possibly go for Osimhen. It's a risk. I would personally not do it, even if it's a champion and probably the best one. What is an option if you want really to go towards that ItalJuve, towards a name like Sandro Tonali, is to go for a cheap solution. What is the cheap solution at the moment? It is Kolo Muani. Kolo Muani, that in the last few days, there were rumors that were saying that Juve already said to Paris Saint-Germain, to Campos, the sporting director, we will not go with him anymore. Why? The papers were speaking about that because Thiago Motta was gone, and we know that Kolo Muani also came, especially was convinced by Thiago Motta to join Juve. Well, apparently today Tuttosport is telling us Juve, Kolo Muani, wordplay, rimane, stays, remain at Juve. Kolo remains instead of Kolo Muani, and that would be, according to me, a fantastic choice. Better than all the other choices that I personally heard. Because you go with an extra year on loan with an option or an obligation to buy. An option would be ideal, will be super, but only at one condition, that he is convinced, that he is super convinced about Project Juve. I know that you don't like the word project, but everything is a project, guys. Short term, long term, medium term, good one, bad one, everything is a project. But that he is convinced about Juve, and not by the coach, because a coach can be here today, cannot be there tomorrow. So he needs to be totally convinced about the project, and that's super important. Yesterday in the video, Luca said something extremely important. Kalulu, Kolo Muani, X, Y, Z have all been convinced also by Thiago Motta when they were on the phone with him. They said it publicly on the phone during interviews. So if Kolo Muani is convinced about Project Juve, of course if we qualify to Champions League, otherwise forget about it, I would love that he stays at Juve. I think that he is a really great solution for Juve. He, and not only because then you need to go for a second name, and that's where we enter in the chapter ItalJuve, second name that can be X, Y, Z. I will tell you the names now. First of all, ItalJuve, that some people are saying, Beppe, but we started to support Juve because we had a really strong link with La Nazionale, especially it's a really harsh feeling, big feeling from Juventini that are living abroad. I understand it because I'm also a Juventino, Italian, that is living abroad. So that link, Nazionale, Juve, has always been great. And today we don't recognize our Juventus anymore because we don't have a lot of Italian Juventini. I can understand that feeling perfectly, which I always answer to, yes, okay, my ideal Juve is a Juve mixed with a lot of Italian players with the best foreign players. That's how I grew up. Unfortunately, we need to look at the situation, the real situation, the moment. It goes with cycles. Sometimes you have a lot of good, interesting Italian players, and they are also available, sometimes not. Look, if you are looking at the last 8 years, the last 2 qualifications for the World Cup, Italy didn't qualify. That means that, by consequence, the Italian players were not as good as we were all thinking. And it's not a coincidence that Juventus in the latest years, they didn't go with a lot of Italian players, because the one that we really wanted to go for, the really good one, they were not cheap at all. And you know it, in Italy, the clubs are asking more money to Juve. And because you didn't have a lot of variety, a lot of possible options. So Juventus, at the end, is not with a lot of Italian players because they were not available. But we have a new cycle that is upcoming. A lot of new Italian players that can do it. And one of the names is Comuzzo. Comuzzo is a really good player. Really good player from Fiorentina. That if you are going fast, is still not extremely expensive. Also because it's a defender. 30 million euro for the Italian defender could be an option for Juve. In attack, Juventus is thinking already about names. A name a la Retegui could be, if Osimhen is not possible, which I think it's not possible, a name like Retegui could be possible. On the other side, and they said it, and the papers are speaking about it, also Juve is reporting it, that he's a real target of Juve. Retegui, that after a year at Genoa, after a year at Atalanta with Gasperini that is leaving, could possibly leave. It's really strange for me. Why? Because it's a player that they signed for 20 million euro for Genoa, you remember, to replace Scamacca, and he's already at 25 goals with Atalanta this season. 25 goals. The value on transfer market is 45 million euro. If Atalanta let him go, it's not under 55 million euro. So if you want Retegui at Juve, it cannot be that he becomes a bench player, a rotational player, a backup player. That is the starter of Juve, the number 9, the one that is playing 75% of the game. Is that what you want to go for? Is the price 50-60 million for Retegui the right price? I doubt. Good player, but I would, again, it's the same story as yesterday with Lookman, as 1 year ago with Koopmeiners, paying attention to deal with Atalanta, with a player that went fantastically great with Gasperini, but without Gasperini, can he do the same? Big question mark. Big question mark. So I would be prudent. On the other side, they are speaking about Lorenzo Lucca. Lorenzo Lucca, that also him at Udinese is doing well, has a value today of 30 million euro. Do Juventus have the money to spend 30 million euro for a rotational player? Because I know that a lot of people are liking Lucca, and it's not a bad player, but he's really the one that you want to spend 30 million to put there on the bench and to alternate with a real starter, with the real number 9? Question mark. And that leads us towards, if you really want to go for Italian, for a bit cheaper, for one that is a bit keen to accept also being a rotational player, because that's not what I think Retegui would do, but that leads us towards a name that I said on the 1st of April. It's not a April Fool, but a name like a Pinamonti that would be cheaper than a Lucca, much cheaper than a Retegui, and one that is accepting to sit on the bench. And that leads us towards the other name, Sandro Tonali, the real big objective that is actually matching and the ones that we wanted and the ItalJuve. So he's matching everything. He's ticking all the boxes. Strong, no Serie A, speak the language, wants to come back in Italy, a player that would make the difference, an Italian player. He's matching and he's ticking all the boxes. He would be the big name for Juve in 25-26 to reinforce a midfield. We spoke about it already. We made a lot of videos about it. What are the solutions? Well, dealing with Newcastle, maybe decreasing the price with Dusan Vlahovic, or with Douglas Luiz that is still attractive in Premier League. Maybe Federico Gatti, but then some people will tell me, Beppe, but Gatti gone, we lose an Italian. But maybe you replace him with a Comuzzo. Question mark. So we have a lot of things here that we need to pay attention for. Why Tonali is a real target for Juve? Because Tonali asked to his agent, Giuseppe Riso, and I sent you back to the first video I made last Friday, so nearly 1 week ago, with Luca Monblano, telling us that he really asked to his agent to look around in Italy to the strong teams in Italy, Inter, Milan, Juve. And that's why the name of Tonali is repetitive, also because Giuntoli, we said it already, that big, huge, soft spot for Italian players that were playing, for players that were playing in that Scudetto Milan. So Sandro Tonali, 24, would be a really big dream. If not possible, there are other names in that list, like the one of Davide Fratesi or Florentino Luis. Look, with all the respect to Davide Fratesi, that will also be an Italian player joining Juve. He's a bench player at Inter. It's a fantastic bench player. It's one that is entering and is changing the game. Super player. Would I go for Davide Fratesi, going with a bench player from Inter, paying 45 million euro to be the one that is changing the midfield of Juve? No. I go for Sandro Tonali, without any doubt. I don't go for Davide Fratesi, taking a bench player from Inter to become our star. That's not enough, especially not for the money that you're requesting. On the other side, Florentino Luis is a player that I would go for, because that's a player that is a starter, that could start, is not Italian, but according to me, in the order of the ranking, I put on the third position the Fratesi, in the three names that are there, Fratesi. Second position, Florentino Luis. First position, Sandro Tonali. That's what I am thinking in my head. So ItalJuve, yes, if possible, if available, if okay in terms of value, because spending for Lorenzo Lucca 35 million and putting him on the bench makes no sense. That's what I think. Then the names, Comuzzo, possible, yes. Tonali, possible, difficult, but Juventus will try. Osimhen, I tell you today, we will hurt ourselves if we are really thinking that Osimhen could be a player that can join Juve on addition of Tonali, in addition of this. That's what I think about Kolo Muani. I go for all in if possible. If he believes in the project, I go all in, because that would be extremely important in terms of saving money, not spending immediately, and being able to do other transactions. Let me know what you think about it. Grazie, forza, Juve.